Hey guys, we're going to take a look at Matthew 5, one of the most important chapters in the entire Bible, that really explains the entire purpose and mission, I guess you could say, of Jesus. You know, um, says he's not come to destroy the law or the prophets, but to fulfill it. And so a lot of people are confused because they think the law sent from the Old Testament God, Yahweh, is evil. You know, it says to do a lot of evil things, especially in Leviticus 23, Deuteronomy 28, and Numbers 31. There's a lot of evil going on. But the idea is that whenever Adam and Eve sinned, that's when we were no longer under grace and mercy anymore. We were under Yahweh, Satan's law. So if they didn't sin, we would just be, in Jesus' happy fun land or whatever. So he's come to fulfill the law because Satan can trick people, but God and Jesus do not lie, and they have to fulfill the quote-unquote legal obligation of that. So because we are in sin, Jesus has to go by this sort of spiritual contract. So he's fulfilling the law by freeing us from the law. Ironically, he is grace and mercy and truth instead of the law and sin, because anyone who sins is subject to the law. Well, everyone's a sinner, so we're all going to be subject to law? No, not if we acknowledge Jesus as the redeemer of the law of Satan, Yahweh, not Jesus' father's law, Satan's law. If Jesus and the Father are one, they do not disagree. So Jesus said, here's what Jesus says about the Old Testament. You have heard it been said by them of old time, thou shalt not kill. The Ten Commandments, that's just something people say. Jesus is saying, you've heard it was said by them of old time, thou shalt not kill. But I say unto you, whoever's angry with his brother without cause is in danger of judgment. Okay? So why is Jesus going against the Old Testament if the Father and him are one, if they always agree? Because he's negating Yahweh's law, Satan's law. He wants to sound like, well, I'm Satan, I'm good, because I said don't kill people. What, are you going to disagree with that? No, Satan tries to trick you. He's an angel of light, pretending to be God and pretending to have this glory, whereas he's actually trying to trick you, and he mixes truth with lies. He's not going to just come with a pitchfork and horns and say, I'm Satan, follow me. He's going to pretend to be God. Say, well, thou shalt not kill at ever whatsoever at all. And yet we have self-defense, and stuff like that. But on a different level, here's another one. You've heard it was said by them of old time, thou shalt not commit adultery. He's not saying, my Father says, thou shalt not commit adultery. He never says that. So that has an implication to it. Okay? He's not saying, my Father says this, but I say that. He never once says that. He says, you've heard it was said by them of old time. Who's them? Okay? Like, why is just Jesus disagreeing with the Ten Commandments? Okay, he's saying, yeah, you can't commit adultery, but whoever looks upon a woman and lusts after her is also committing adultery in your heart. Because guess what? Here's I'm going to be crude. God's not a dumbass. Okay, yeah, you didn't have sex with that woman over there, but you thinking nasty thoughts is still wrong. And in your heart, you know that too. But if you're just Jewish, you say, well, I didn't do anything, so I can think whatever I want. Well, Jesus says, no, you're not supposed to just think whatever you want. And that's kind of the whole New Age concept of our thoughts affect reality and our attitude and our souls. Okay, so it's all tied together. Jesus says again, you've heard it was said in old time, thou shalt not forswear thyself, but shalt perform the Lord thine oaths. But I say, swear not at all. If Jesus and the Father are one, why is he saying not to swear at all? Whereas Yahweh says, swear to me, swear by my name, I'm everything, worship me. It doesn't make sense, okay? Here's the classic one. You've heard of it said, an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. But I say to you, resist not evil, and turn the other cheek. My main point with this short video is, why is Jesus calling Yahweh Yahweh's laws, so-called his father's laws. He's saying, you've heard it was said, eye for an eye, tooth for tooth. You heard that mumbo jumbo in the Old Testament, but I'm saying turn the other cheek. Jesus is literally saying that is wrong. Okay, obviously an eye for an eye is wrong. Okay, turn the other cheek. You have heard it been said, love your neighbor and hate your enemy. But I say, love your enemies. What? Imagine being in the year like 33 AD, with all this crazy tyranny going on with governments and religious law ruling everything. And there's black and white and good and bad. Jesus says, love your enemies. Love evil. Huh? That's a new message. No one has ever said that. Okay? And because it's the truth. So be ye therefore perfect, even as your Father which is in heaven is perfect. He just said his Father is perfect. So why did he just disagree with the half of the 10 Commandments just then? Logically, he's not disagreeing with his Father if he's perfect. He's disagreeing with someone else. And if you didn't know, 2 Thessalonians 2:11, God sends a strong delusion that we should believe a lie. And part of the lie is assuming that the entire Old Testament is the good, loving Father that sent Jesus. And yet you see all the evil in Deuteronomy 28, Numbers 31, etc., etc. Okay? We're doing it logically here. I'm not trying to be some conspiracy theorist just to get views. I don't get views. It's not like I do this to get attention. I don't get attention. Ironically, because I'm telling the truth. Okay? And this is one of my favorite chapters, Matthew 6, because I grew up Jewish. So I really connected with these. It said, take heed that you do not do your alms before men, or, give money to the poor. Don't give your alms before men to be seen of them. Otherwise, you don't have a reward. Therefore, when you do as alms, do not sound a trumpet as the hypocrites in the synagogues do, that they might have the glory of men. But when you do alms, don't let the left hand know what the right hand does, and do it in secret. And thy Father which seeth in secret himself shall reward thee openly. So, once again, God's not a dumbass. If you're doing something with fake intent, that's not going to get you to heaven. This isn't some cut and paste religious practice. You say 20 Hail Marys, you're cured. That's not how it works. Jesus even says, when you prayest, when thou prayest, don't do it standing in the streets, in the corners of the streets, that you may be seen of men. When you pray, enter your closet and pray in secret. I mean, that's totally a different concept than what the Jews and the Muslims and even Christians do. They go to church so they can seem like they're godly. Whereas when they get home, they don't care and do whatever they want. But if they go to church Sunday, then, I'm going to heaven. It is not that easy. Catholics say, do 10 Hail Marys and then you're good. Jesus says, when you pray, don't use vain repetitions. That's basically the exact opposite of saying 10 Hail Marys. They think, as the heathen do, they think they shall be heard for their much speaking. But your Father knows what things you have need of before you even ask. Okay? It's really, really annoying. And lay up not treasures upon the earth, where moss and rust doth corrupt them, but lay your treasures in heaven. Okay, it's spiritual treasures, not hoarding stuff and money and gold and treasures, but spiritual truths are the true treasure. Because even Swedenborg says angels study the Bible even in heaven. Even when they're in the afterlife, they're still studying Scripture because there's something always to learn. You don't just magically gain all wisdom when you're in heaven. You're still striving, okay? It's crazy. On kind of a different topic, Jesus says, the light of the body is the eye. Therefore, if thine eye be single, thy whole body shall be full of light. And we all know that we have two physical eyes, but he's talking about the pineal gland, okay? If thine eye be single, using your spiritual eye, then it'll be fine. Okay, and yet take no thought of your life, what you should eat or drink, in your body, and what you should put on. Whereas today's pop culture is all about fashion. Fashion is worrying about what you look like. and even the kosher laws, worrying about what you eat or what you should drink, all that stuff. It's just, it all makes sense. Okay, we're all Christians are taught to fear the Father, but Jesus says the Father is perfect. Christians are taught to do repetitive prayers. Jesus says don't do that. Just say it once in your heart, and if it's true, God knows. He's the ultimate lie detector. I don't know how else to put it. But anyway, I think this chapter single-handedly not converted me, but made me understand that Jesus is not some redneck American Jesus that we've been taught. And luckily, since I grew up Jewish, I know about the hypocrisy of the Jews as well, in a specific sense, not some generic sense. But yeah, y'all, if we have more knowledge, we can understand these things. But Christians are taught, just have faith in the preacher, just have faith in what I'm saying, just have faith in this or that. God says, love me with all your heart, soul, and mind. He never said, just have faith and never think about it, because that's not gonna pan out for y'all, in my opinion. Anyway, I think that's it for now. Get the message later.